Welcome back to No More Waffle. Today I am joined by a returning guest, Matt Baldock. As we know from watching last week, like everybody did, you're obviously not hiding under a rock. Matt is an expert in property, private joke there, property professional, 24 years experience. Matt, thanks for coming back.
No problem, thanks for having me, Ben.
So we're going to dive straight in. Question number one, in your experience, what's the biggest failure in how the property industry serves the people that rely on it? So when I say rely on it, I mean mainly our customers.
So if I reference back to last week's episode, when I said agency is about people more than it is about property, it's the biggest failing I think that we have as a profession is putting your numbers, your figures, your targets above the needs of the people.
Okay.
So to put that into context, maybe. So again, I will kind of be boringly consistent with my belief that it's a privilege to do this job when you're helping people in tough circumstances. So particularly deaths and divorces. So agents will go around and overvalue a property to win the business, to hit their target, and I think that's fine. What they don't understand is, let's take the case of a divorce, and again, not all divorces are very friendly. People are making their financial decisions on that. They're working out splits, they're working out onward moves, and they're making some really big life decisions, and they're taking you, who they believe to be a professional, they're taking your advice on that. So you go and tell them something, you know, and depending on how high you go out the property market, it's not uncommon. People start to it's worth £100,000 more than it really is. They go, fine, we're going to get divorced, these are going to be the separation, and then they end up getting less. Well, that actually impacts their whole life. That kind of impacts their own move. Same with the good news, you know, you wanting to move, you know, you want to get little Johnny into the best school, so you need to go and move there, and you're told, well, you're going to get this for your house. Oh, that's great, so I can definitely afford that one. To my frustration, people then go and make an offer on that one before they've actually got to buy for theirs. Guess what? They don't get the money they thought. So all of a sudden they can't buy the house they want, or they have to go and renegotiate that price, which takes out all goodwill, and everything starts falling apart. So, yeah, you know, advice just to serve hitting your targets can really impact on people's life.
And so is that it? Because the follow-up question is, why is it happening? Why is it happening for an extended period of time? Why doesn't it change? Is it just because people want to hit targets? Is that why this is happening? This overvaluing issue?
Yeah, basically it's because of the pressure from above on these people. And I've been employed as a corporate agent years ago. I did 10 years in corporate world, and I will say it's not all corporates. You know, there are some independents like it, but corporates are predominantly the ones that have the stricter targets and the KPIs as they call them. And the pressure is phenomenal to kind of, you know, to hit these targets, you know.
So they're compensated based on hitting targets, stuff like that?
They compensate, well, it's not even, or it's they're kind of verbally beaten if they don't hit the target. So, you know, yes, you've got, so I know of one really large agency chain that pay their values £100 in our area just to get you to sign the contract. Okay. So if I'm honest, if I'm doing enough appointments and I just want to earn money, I'm telling you what, yeah, fine, you want it for £1 million? Sign a bit of paper, that's my £100 and I've banked the money. But also just kind of, you know, the pressure, you know, the almost feeling of not good enough. So that wasn't good enough, that wasn't good enough, that wasn't good enough. We'll get these, and they are predominantly kids, because I think you're still a kid up to about 25, really. Without being patronising, you don't know it, you know.
No, I mean, me and you were still kids, clearly.
I mean, I'm still, yeah, exactly. But when you have this downward pressure on you to hit numbers, some people will start making decisions that aren't the right decision for the person because they're so worried about their own job. Yeah, you know, it is because the line will be used in offices around the world. Well, you know, if you can't do it, I'll get someone else that can do it. You know, and that would have been used time and time again. So
what's the solution? Easy question.
Yeah, easy question. So there are two solutions. So again, I don't necessarily believe in a victim mentality. So just if you're an employed agent and you believe you are being asked to do things that are morally wrong or the wrong thing, like leave, right? What I would say is I don't know if it's ever been easier to get a job as an estate agent. Right?
There's a lot out there.
There's loads of jobs out there. And again, when I was first starting, because obviously I'm very, very old, social media wasn't as prevalent. So I
Just to be clear, it didn't exist, but go on.
yeah, thank you. Yeah. So what I was getting told by my area manager was the Bible, right? This is how it has to be done. Again, we now live in a world where with social media, with YouTube, in LinkedIn in particular, there's so many kind of online training platforms. There's so many people speaking about doing things in the right way, that you know if things you're being asked to do it. So even if your area manager is saying this is how we do things, there'll be a world out there telling you you can do it a better way. So actually, you have to say, listen, that's not right. And again, it's not like I won't have a job. You will have a job. The other side is there has to be, I guess, some form of regulation, or there has to be some pressure at a much higher level than I'm going to be able to reach on these big companies, because it all starts at the top, right? And there has to be some pressure on the top to stop incentivizing people to do things in certain ways that are to the detriment of the end user.
So at a higher level, you think there's a way that businesses could be, I don't know, banned or prevented from incentivizing the wrong thing?
Yeah.
Is that what you mean? So what would that look like?
So for instance, what if there was a standard marker that if you achieved below a certain percentage of what you'd committed to valuing that property at in right, your fee was cut or you didn't get paid in it.
Okay. Subject to things that be out of your control, beyond bad survey, stuff like that. But on face value, you say it's worth $1 million and it's got to sell for, I don't know, above 950. It's got to be within 5%, for instance.
I know. I mean, I'd actually maybe have a bit of a wider margin, because you're going to have to account for markets and things like that.
Yeah.
So a bit of a wider margin. I'm literally just thinking about that off the top of my head. But I suppose, or just a standard code of conduct that every agent kind of has to adhere to, and then it would be a bit like at the minute we've got the ombudsman, so people kind of complain. But if the ombudsman have a bit of, because there isn't kind of a set formula. There's obviously, it's a little bit open to interpretation.
Yeah.
But if we had a set standard across the board, and there was enough complaints coming in about this company, then people would kind of have to.
Okay. So I've got an idea about this, but I'm going to come back to it. Talk to previous guests about it, and I want to get your feedback on whether you think it could work. But just before we get onto that, so we're saying the corporates, the way they incentivise, that's an issue. But I can also point to a load of local independents that still overvalue.
Yeah.
How do we, so it's not just a corporate issue.
No, 100%. It's an agency issue. So maybe if there was a set of guidelines for everybody. Weirdly, so there's always talking about regulating agents, and I've never really been that big of a fan of it. But as I'm talking, I'm now starting to think.
Convincing yourself?
Yeah, I'm convincing myself that maybe that is the way it has to go. The other way it can be done, so I'm a big fan of, you heard that saying, it takes a village to raise a child. So again, I think there's enough, because what the public probably don't understand is there are a lot of really good agents out there who really do get. I'm really fortunate in kind of the world I live in and work in. I get to meet some amazing agents, and over the last 5 years, it's blown my mind how many people are really good and care. But I just think they all need a bit of a bigger voice.
Okay.
And so again, it's there with social media. So what we like to do is we like to moan about stuff. So we'll go on and go, oh, so-and-so's overvaluing, I can't believe it. Well, actually, rather than doing your video saying, or your post saying, everyone who overvalues is a dickhead, do your post and explain to people why overvaluing has such ramifications on people's lives. And then actually, you're not going to cure everybody, right? But again, if you're an employed negotiator and you're seeing Matt Baldock, Ben Madden, there must be some other agents out there.
Well, I don't know. I think probably just us two.
Yeah, just us two. But if you're seeing, and you're seeing that message over and over again, you're going to start to realise, actually, what I'm being told here isn't right. So I think what we're very good as agents doing is going on and moaning about stuff, but I don't necessarily know we're that great at educating.
Well, I think there's a selection of agents that care enough to do it, and I think also we're seeing this. what I'm told is a major swing towards this self-employed model, which means lots of agents are now working in two verticals. Firstly, they need to sell homes. Secondly, they need to recruit constantly. And so the recruitment piece means they want to be seen as educators and inspiring others to join them and come on the journey. So I think there's more, we're going to see more and more of that content. I was at a conference last week. What percentage of the housing market do you think is listed by self-employed agents at the moment?
Right, 5?
1.3%.
Okay.
Which, the point of the conference was, wow, these huge numbers. And I felt like, well, I'm not that wowed by that personally. But, we'll see what happens. Let's not get sucked into a conversation about self-employed agency, because that's a whole different rabbit hole. Let me just pull it back. I think your point about posting on social media, though, as a good agent, probably always wants to be attracting the right sort of people, be that a buyer and a seller, be that maybe recruits to the business in the future. You should always be telling stories, educate people, help people. The more of that stuff you put out there, the more I think there's so many buzzwords right now. I'm really trying to avoid them. But authenticity, I liked it before as a buzzword. Yeah. The more authentic you can be online, the more genuine, the more I think goes some way to prove how much you care.
100%. And I'm not even necessarily kind of doing a call to arms and saying everyone open a social media account, and so, because they've all got them. And I just think if you post once a week even something negative about something bad's happened, you have the time to change that and post it positively. So we had that thing a little while ago, didn't we, with that panorama?
Yeah, you've beat me to it. It's a great example.
And my feeling on that is, I was talking to somebody and I kind of said, I'm amazed how many agents suddenly had a LinkedIn account.
Literally what I was going to say. You and me both.
And they were all on there preaching. Yeah, preaching and preaching. I haven't ever said this publicly because I don't want to come across like virtues in a bit of a dickhead.
Go on.
What I did, through a contact who we both know, reached out to the girl that was on the programme. And as you know, I hosted dinner for estate agents together, and I invited her to the dinner.
So let's just segue, 30 seconds, tell everyone about the dinner.
So we host a dinner for estate agency owners to come together. It's usually in central London, and no sales, no speeches, no suppliers, come together just to talk, to learn, to share, and
have a laugh.
And have a laugh. And
actually, that's the most important part. It's the camaraderie, the fun.
Yeah. So just from the industry watchers, it's just a chance to relax, let your hair down, and talk to people that understand. And from a public point of view, it's a chance for good agents to get together, share ideas on how we can help.
And so it's been what? Is it 3 years?
We're in our third year.
Yeah,
we're in our third year. But that lady came along because I wanted to show her there was a world outside the corporate world she was in, and it was great. And everybody was really nice to her, and we chatted, and she, and she came away, and it was great. So I have the same thing. So. I do a lot of work on LinkedIn, and I have a lot of agents and conveyancers, and agents are always shouting at each other. And I'm like, well, rather than saying what went wrong, explain. So wherever a conveyancer will say, oh, I can't believe an agent phoned me and asked if searches were back after 3 days, well, then change that post, say, hey, just so you know, searches take X amount of weeks to come back, and actually educate. So if you've got time to post something negative, you've got time to post something positive.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. But as we said last week, the problem is that bad news, fires up a little bit quicker.
And it's more fashionable, right?
Well, apparently it's more fashionable, but I actively avoid negative content. I'm not interested in it. I don't want to. And I made a conscious decision at the start of this year that I'm not going to get sucked into negative nonsense. Like in the past, I'd have seen something and I might have commented to call it out and call out the bullshit and what you're talking about is nonsense. But now I'm just going to park those people. I don't really want them in my world. And the more I interact with them, the more they find themselves on my feed. So you're absolutely right, but it's difficult for people out there right now to everyone wants to post something. If they want to post something, I hope they want to add some value. Maybe they want to entertain. Maybe they want to inspire. That's really difficult when there's so much noise being made, to cut through the noise with something positive. It's easy for you and I to maybe come across a bit preachy because you're excellent on LinkedIn. I do loads of work on there, and we get reasonable engagement actually. And because of your stature and your credibility, people will listen and they'll give feedback. And if you're just starting on this journey, my only advice would be, don't worry, don't overthink it. You know, give it a go, have a go, and gradually, the more and more you add value to someone, the more they're going to engage and they're going to react. And if you can start from a positive standpoint, what a great place to be. You were about to say something.
Well, I was just going to say, but that's where, because realistically, so I own an estate agency. We're in Chelmsford in central Essex, and we're a mid-sized agency. It's not like I've got a 20, 30 foot branch, but during the pandemic, I think it was, I just started, maybe I didn't have anyone to speak to, so I just started talking to the camera and putting things out there, and it's kind of snowballed from there. So yeah, no, don't get me wrong, I do have a platform now, but even 3 years ago, I didn't, 3, 4 years ago, I didn't have that. So it's not, I definitely am not anything special. And a lot of people that I'll speak to will say to me, oh yeah, I agree with that. I don't think I say anything that other people don't think or know. I just think I say it.
You're brave enough to hit record and hit post.
And that's kind of that's kind of the difference. So, and then it goes one or two ways. Some people I'm sure go, well, that's basics. Everyone knows that. Or some people go, yeah, I agree with you. And you get, so I just think if you think something and it's positive, post it. Or especially if you're typing anyway and you're typing a negative, just flip it on being an education piece.
Yeah, no, I agree. And actually, I mean, this isn't necessarily a podcast about being more present on social media, but look at the opportunities by being more present on social media is created probably for both of us.
Yeah.
By just saying what we think. I mean, occasionally we're, I don't know, 1 in 1,000 we're probably both wrong, but it's very, very rare that we will post anything that's not completely 100% correct and everybody on the planet agrees with.
Oh, and it's very rarely wrong. It's just other people don't understand.
Yeah, that's right. Sorry, yeah. Blimey, you've managed to catch me off my own podcast.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't stress it enough. And actually, it sort of comes back to so this is more a piece for if you work in industry. So we talked about directors' dinner, and it all comes back to sort of networking, whether you're networking online, whether you're networking at a dinner. I remember when I sold my business and I was standing, I just remember the timing. It was right as I sold the business, I was standing in the queue for the bank at Barclays, just down the road, and I got a LinkedIn message from you. I remember very specifically, and you said, I saw you sold, congratulations, what are you doing, are you leaving? We'd never met at that point. Yeah. It was just after COVID, it was a little bit after COVID. And I said, no, I'm going to do this, going to do that. And you sent a nice message saying, great, I'm glad you're not leaving the industry. And we'd only ever interacted online. But that sticks with me. And that's 4 years and about 5 weeks ago that happened. I can remember the exact message, where I was, what I was doing. And that will always stick with me, that you did something quite nice. You sent a nice message for no real reason. It turns out further down the line, he did want something, no, he didn't really. But the director's dinner, last week, a mutual friend who comes to the director's dinner that I met on the first one, we were able to refer business to each other randomly.
Nice.
In the same week. Within 72 hours, she'd sent me someone who was buying in the local area, needed a bit of help. Great. One of the guys would look after that person. And then 3 days later, a contact of mine needed to sell a home 5 minutes from her office. That's the world doing something there, the universe. But if I hadn't come to your dinner, I'd never met that person. I never met that person, then I can't help that person sell their home. Yeah,
and that's so a couple of things. Just to be pedantic, because you came to the original dinners, they were called the directors' dinners at the start.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
No, it's fine. They're called the estate agent dinner now, because again, what I want to do is help anybody out. So if you're an agency and you want to be better, we want you in the room, right? And it's simple as that. So employed agents, self-employed, anybody's welcome. And
you maybe might say this, but it's not a selling thing. Like, so many events are, come to the event, we're going to pitch to you. This is literally 20 to 30 agents sitting around having dinner, chewing the fat, venting, learning, talking about good stuff, talking about tough stuff. It's just very...
In 2024, me and my brother, who I run it with, we lost £3,000 on it, putting it on. So it's definitely not... If it's a business, it's not a very good one. So, because we guarantee certain numbers. So, but anyway, so it costs us money to put it on. So yeah, we're doing it genuinely to kind of help people and do it there. And real friendships have been formed. So I know business has been done now, but real friendships have been formed out of it. And And so yeah, no, it's great that agents are doing business out of it, but the predominant thing is to come and just create. It's like a support network.
It's a good WhatsApp group.
Yeah. That you've kind of got it. But then I do believe that kind of benefits the public as well, because there's agents coming to it and they might be going down a bit of, they might be having a really tough time. And when you have tough times, you start thinking about cutting corners and taking shortcuts. And if they're with people that have, you're a business owner, I'm a business owner, we've both definitely been through some tough times, then we can go, we were there, but you get out of it. And if you see people actually authentically telling you about it and saying, no, but we're here, and you can see, well, they still are here, they're not just talking about it online, I think we've helped people make the right decision and kind of carry on.
And we've never spoken about this, but actually, so I have ended up, I've got proper friendships out of the group. Like I've got what people would look at it and think there's some funny friendships, but Angie Cooney and Wendy Peterman are like two of my proper mates. We'll go for lunch quite regularly.
No, I've never been invited. I'm quite...
Yeah, well, I mean, very intentional that, and but also, I don't know, I'm close with Rowan, and there's a whole load of people, and you and your brother, but also something else came out of that group that wouldn't have happened. The Boys Club, which is a men's mental health sort of group and initiative. It's basically a Facebook group for men that have an interest in mental health that don't want to talk about mental health. That's where we go. And that group started because of someone who I met at the dinner.
Oh, nice.
Who had a bit of a sort of almost like a mental breakdown, wanted to tell everyone their story, and we started it because of that. And actually I just think I've never put the two and two together. But if I don't come to that dinner and I don't meet with you guys and I don't meet that person, then I can categorically tell you that although I made the joke that men don't talk about mental health, the group has helped people. I know it has. The messages I've had back for the meetings we've done, that doesn't happen if I don't come to the dinner that you guys set up. And so it's wide reaching. The web, what is it? I can't remember what the saying is, but the web casts its net far. We have gone off on a wild tangent here, but that's good. I think it's a really good way to show both agents and the general public that a state agency is not. It's not Ron Burgundy. Everyone having a fight with the news crew down the road. Actually, agents do get along, and that is for the better.
I had this with somebody on LinkedIn the other day, and it's weird. I get more upset when somebody insults a state agency when they insult me. So, if you put yourself out there online, you're going to get comments sometimes, you're going to get the trolls. And if it's something about me, I kind of ignore it. If it's something about a state agency, I really take it personally for some reason. And I can't tell the public enough. Genuinely, yes, there are arseholes in our profession.
I thought you were going to say on this podcast.
There's one arsehole on this podcast. That's you.
And me.
Yeah. But there are so many good agents out there, not just as in the skill that they've got and the experience they've got, but in just their hearts and they're good human beings and they really want to help people.
Yeah.
And they're definitely there. You've just got to find them. And I guarantee if you've got any high street where there's 20 agents, there'll be 3 in there that really do kind of care about it. So yes, you've got to wade through the shit, but there are.
And it's also not to say the 17 are all arseholes. They're just it's different.
Yes.
You've got probably three high quality independent agents. They are led by the owner, and there's this feeling of this culture in the business. We really care. We're going to do the right thing all the time. The other 17 have got a whole load of people that are learning their trade that are one day going to work for that independent or come into one of those independents and really get a feel for it. They're just on the journey. When I first started in this industry, I was very different. I was your stereotypical estate agent. I sort of came up in a corporate environment. You've got to do this, you've got to do that. And I thought that was completely the norm until I worked for a better business. It sort of opened my eyes. Then I opened my own business and really opened my eyes and thought, you've been a bit of an arsehole for the last 3 years. Yeah. You don't need to do that stuff. You can just have fun and do it properly. So, there's the first time I think I heard someone say something about a state agency that made me think, I should be more proud of what I do, was the first Fine and Country conference I went to. So it would have been about 5-6 years ago. And John Hanford was on stage, and I'd never met him. He's currently managing director of Fine and Country. He's covering Nikki while she's on maternity leave. I'm friends with him now, close friends with him. Brilliant agent, gets it. Absolutely categorically only does things on the client's best, with the client's best interest at heart. so far removed from some of my agency experiences in London and how people behave. Like it's the gold standard of agency. He walked on stage and the first thing he said is, "I'm really proud to be an estate agent." And honestly, it was like getting punched in the gut. I was like, I've never said that. I always make the joke that when I go to dinner, I tell people I'm a traffic warden because I get a better response. But actually, he's right. And you said it. You said it in last week's episode. We help people move on with their life. You should be proud of that, really. It's such an important job. We were the industry that was brought back out of COVID to fire up the economy. Not much more important than that, other than people saving lives.
I know. We're the pantomime villains, right? So again, the dinner party. You go, what'd you do? You kind of go, oh, I'm an estate agent. Say it through gritted teeth, get the booze, but then everyone wants to talk to you. Yeah, what's the market doing? And kind of going from there. But so I'm still a bit like, so I will tell people a little bit. But I was on holiday a few years ago, and I was, you know, when like you go and you meet other people, don't you? And they're talking, and she was like, why do you like it? And I was talking, I was saying about how I think it's a privilege to be a part of someone's story, and she kind of went, well, that would make me want to use you to sell my house. And there are these people out there, like, this is the thing, there'll be some people that just want you to come around, tell them the big price, quote them a low fee. There'll be some people, and they don't have nothing to do with you. There'll be some people that really don't know what they're doing, and they need some help, and they'll trust you to do that. And for me, when you meet those people, that's when it's the best job in the world.
Because you want to find your kind of people.
Yeah.
And when we help people with producing content to put online and to try and attract the right sort of audience, try and help the right sort of people. When I say the right sort of people, it's people that have sort of come in common with you and feel the same way about you as certain things. They may have the same values as you, because there's such thing as bad business. And the wrong sort of person that's not going to click with you, that's going to have a different view on things, is bad business. Someone else out there will be right for them. Although I won't get into a whole be willing to walk away from business, because there's a rabbit hole there. What I want to come back to is, I said I've got what I think is a solution for this overvaluing. What's the average contract length in your area of the world? What does a customer, a seller have to sign up to?
So some of the corporates are working on 24 weeks, which is like half a year.
6 months.
Yeah,
contract.
And people don't understand. I was always brought up that 12 is about kind of.
So in our business, we will, depending on, I think the average in ours is 6 to 8 weeks. We do. But the 24 week thing that's becoming more and more common. Like, that is sprouting up. There's a particular business that is, I think, the largest in London now, and they own multiple brands. And so across all their brands now, 24 weeks has become quite common, which is a real issue. So firstly, Perry Power said this to me, or asked me this question once before. Perry Power, really good agent, knows his stuff. How long should a property be on the market for before it's sold? What would you say the answer to that is?
In today's market, I certainly know more than 4 weeks. I'd actually sometimes say maybe 2.
Okay, yeah, so he said the same. Yeah, a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Because if as long as you're working with a good agent and they're high quality marketing, good exposure strategy, doing all the bits and pieces that good agents do, talking to the right buyers, they've got a list of buyers, it's not just front and right move and see what happens in the social media marketing. If you've got the price right, then the buyers will present and you'll sell. So why would you need a 6-month contract?
Yeah.
So my idea is that a 6-month contract is so that I can overvalue your house, and I can, over that 6-month period, chip away at the property price, get you down, break your heart, and eventually you're going to sell. 6 months gives me enough time to do that. You can break anyone in 6 months.
Yeah.
Well, what if contract lengths, long-term contracts were banned? Like, let's say, you worked in lettings, the tenant admin fee ban came in, we all thought it was the end of the world, about to lose a massive income, this is huge issues, that'll never get through. Oh, it got through, all right, I guess we have to restructure our business.
Yeah.
Well, what if they did the same for contracts and said maximum contract term is 28 days with a 7-day notice period? There'd be, the initial shock. But I think very, very quickly, maybe 6 to 12 months, that addresses the overpricing issue, because those businesses can no longer bring people down, so they have to start telling the truth. Otherwise, they're not going to turn any commercial return on those listings.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, the contract thing is so when I'm discussing, my terms, it's the thing that bothers me the least, because generally I like to know we commit a lot of money to properties, as you do at Fine & Country. So, and we have a staged marketing plan. So I want to know I have the time to do the plan.
Oh yeah, and this is not a criticism of people that are on a 12-week marketing strategy. So quite often we'll do 10, 12 weeks.
Yeah.
This is not. These guys are not the issue.
No, but I make you right, because from the estate agent's point of view, the counter that will be, well, everyone will start touting my properties and saying you can get. But again, if you're doing your job properly, I always say we should be speaking. If the person knocking on your customer's door is speaking to your customer more than you're speaking to them, then that's where your problem
That's your issue.
I think I started at the start about regulation and all that kind of stuff. But we could start with just having a standard and maximum contract length. Do you think that goes some way to solving it, or am I oversimplifying it? No, I don't think. I think probably we could sit here for another hour and we could really dissect it. But I think that certainly is a starting point, and that's kind of all you need. Something has to start it, and then invariably things change, and the landscape kind of changes from there, really. But again, just from the public's point of view, if someone is asking you to sign a 25-week contract, work out that's a long time. So just ask why they need that. Just what's the reasoning for needing that length of time? Because you are telling me, because in our area, the ones that charge the 25-week contracts are the ones that also they pay the person in the living room 100 quid to get you to sign.
Well, yeah, exactly. So your point, the incentive is the issue.
Yeah.
And on my side, I think the contract allows that incentive to actually work.
Yeah, of course.
For them. And then the person that loses out, as you rightly pointed out, it's the seller. It's the people that are, unfortunately, they're going through a divorce, and it takes them 6 months to find out they're going to sell for 85% of the price they originally quoted.
Yeah.
So what a positive way to end. Keep watching this space, because we're going to do this. We're going to genuinely put forward the concept of let's do 28-day contracts and see if that completely cleans up this overpricing issue. Because Matt, you said the stat is more than 50% of houses don't actually go under offer.
Yeah.
Or to complete?
I think only 56% of houses that nationally that come to market actually move.
56%, that's wild. 44% of people that come to the market, nothing. So we need to do something about it. And this is the podcast that's going to do it. Matt, thank you so much.
Thank you, Ben.
And we'll see you next week.